Hey everybody, good to be here today. Thanks for joining us. We are live with Daniel Horine of Popfly Shop and of course the great Hawk Andre Dawson. It's in the middle of the day like a Cubs day game during a hot June. We have Hawk here, Hall of Famer, Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger, second player ever in the history of baseball to hit 400 home runs with 300 bags. Andre Dawson, how are you today?
Guys, I'm doing real well. Thank you.
Can we just get right into the Hawk persona, Andre Dawson? Where did that come from?
Well, that was early childhood. Actually, one of my uncles gave me that nickname. I used to watch a men's travel team practice, and at the end of the practice, I would be summoned to the field. They would hit me ground balls, throw me some batting practice on occasions, and for the ground balls, I was usually on third base or shortstop. And if the ball took a bad hop and sort of ricocheted off any part of my body, my uncle, I can recollect him saying, "You don't really feel the baseball for a kid your age. If anything, you pounce on it," and it reminds me of a hawk. So it kind of stuck all of those years. My actually family nickname was Pudgy. I don't know why. I was never a fat kid, but it just kind of stuck all of those years. And a lot of my colleagues, teammates felt that, it was because of that intense scowl that I had, but that was just my form of concentration when I was on the playing field. But that sort of stuck all of those years, and people kind of address me by that now.
That's interesting because most baseball nicknames occur like in professional baseball during the season, maybe by a broadcaster like Cal Ripken being called the Iron Man. Your nickname, the Hawk, predates all MLB experience then from childhood.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Daniel, some of your art is more abstract, but yet this one you put the Hawk persona like front and center for everyone to soak in. Oh, there it is! Isn't that great? What led you to make that choice to put it so like in your face?
Well, I've loved the way that baseball artist Matthew Lee Rosen says it's not really interested in making decorations. It could easily put Andre at bat, with a hawk in the background. But that doesn't really tell a story. So there's a persona. The hawk is bringing a persona with it. So I wanted to tell that story to give you that feeling, not make decoration, but to bring a narrative to the hawk.
And Andre Dawson, on most of the art I've seen of you is usually you hitting a bomb. What was your reaction in seeing yourself with wings flying through the Chicago night?
Hey, I think it's pretty awesome. Very imaginative and a pretty good job, I would say. It reminds me of a photo shoot I did once in Chicago with the Kostakos brothers, and I had to hold a bat while they took pictures of. It was not a hawk; it was an eagle that was situated on the bat. I had it on my shoulders, and I had to tilt the bat to give them the bird was falling off, and he would actually flap his wings. That's what they wanted. They wanted to capture his wingspan. And this thing was hitting me on the side of the head. I had welts everywhere. And it was looking down at me like he had this style about him looking down at me. And I'm like, Lord, please, don't let me get so wet because it's like, but that's what it kind of reminds me. I've seen artwork, as you mentioned, where it's usually been kind of based on or a visual sort of like a headshot. But this really captures your imagination. Inside.
Now, something that I love about this art is you're not, again, pictured with a bat. And Andre Dawson, you were a legit player. You hit power, you hit average, you had the speed, you had a cannon for an arm, you played defense. Does it maybe bother you at all that your hitting gets most of the attention as people reflect on your career?
No, not at all, because I tried to go out and not be one-dimensional. I felt that I was talented to the point where I could perform all of the aspects of the game, and that's kind of what geared me toward my work ethic. And let one area overshadow the other. I was a Gold Glove award winner on 8 different occasions, and I took a lot of pride in it. And despite all of the history of the knee issues, I was able to steal a base whenever they would let me. I had the green light, but they didn't let me get on the base of the product, be able to at least be out on the playing field as much as possible. So I just kind of summoned, the fact that I was blessed with the God-given ability, and I just wanted to make the most of each part of that.
What was it? What was it like playing defense out there at Wrigley with the Ivy, with the bleacher bums?
Well, you had the elements first, either wind blowing in or blowing out. So you had to learn how to make the adjustment on a daily basis with that. The bleacher bums were terrific. They sort of embraced me from day one, and I didn't really feel like I had to kind of feel my way around. I just, took it for what it was worth, and they fueled me, and it was fun and exciting. They started Andre's Army, which is something that it was real fun and exciting, and I just went out in Wrigley Field every day. They would salam to me, and it was just so comfortable. The fact that the bleacher bums, they would sunbathe when the weather permitted it, and they were always at my back.
Now, you brought up the moniker Andre's Army, and Daniel, I noticed that you included that in the cover. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, let me see if I can get this back on the screen. Yeah, what's important to me too is to be able to tell stories, and I don't want to stop at just decorations. I want to try to do my best to tell a complete story, and so I put as much of Andre Dawson in your career in here as I could. There at the bottom it says Andre's Army, and there's a couple other details throughout here, but doing my best to tell the fullness of the story, and particularly your time in Chicago.
Yeah, you played more, obviously, than Chicago. You made your break in Montreal. How bad was that turf? I've heard players talk about it. For you, how bad was it?
Real bad. They actually only changed it once during the entire time that I was there. And it really didn't have a cushiony effect to it. It was like playing on concrete. That's how fast it pretty much deteriorated. And I think it kind of hindered me in a sense, because when I would go on a road trip, it was amazing how much I felt so much more comfortable and pain-free as a result. And I was playing on a natural playing surface, of course. And I look back at it, and I really didn't realize actually what the damage was doing, the AstroTurf that is, what it was doing to me from a playing perspective, until I actually got to Chicago and I was able to play on the natural playing surface on a daily basis.
Well, something, Andre, that comes across so profound from you to me is that quote bubble that Daniel again included on the cover, that if you love the game, it will love you back. And yet that turf deteriorated your knees, and then when you got to leave Montreal, you were a victim of collusion, proved in court. And yet, how have you had, it sounds like, no bitterness, but still a love for baseball?
Oh, well, I mean, whatever the business part of the game is, that's something that's just another situation that you have to deal with as a player, but the game itself, you got to always try to keep it as fun as possible. Enjoy yourself when you're out there playing. And with the understanding and realization that where the game was in 1987, it was time for me to move on. And I just wanted to make sure that I was somewhere where I knew I was going to enjoy the game. It was going to be fun and exciting, and not worry about the past. Be water under the bridge and just continue to move forward with my career. And I only had two teams in mind. One being the Atlanta Braves because it was closer to my home. It was still in the National League and a natural playing surface, but Chicago was always my first choice of preference. And I just realized at that point, well, because there's no negotiating going on, I got to do what, in essence, is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. And realizing that they weren't going to, again, blank check, just sign it, fill it in, and just pay me what you think I'm worth.
As a Braves fan, Andre, I'm so bummed to hear that you were could have been a Brave.
Woo! Imagine him with Fred McGriff together. Wow. Andre Dawson.
Actually, Dale Murphy was one of those players that I really admired his game from a distance as the opposition. And they had a young and exciting ball club at that time. And just because of the fact, again, that it was closer to my home and it was still in the National League and a natural playing surface, I gave them a lot of consideration. And I was actually about to go to West Palm Beach when they were in spring training after I had made the trip to Arizona to speak with the Cubs. And I got the call from Dallas Green to make me an offer, and that just canceled the entire trip.
Yep.
Some modern day players, Andre Dawson, that I would put in your sphere of 5-tool legit, people like Tatis, Betts, and Trout. You take a certain amount of pride, and those guys are getting paid. They are making money doing what they are good at. Do you take a pride and you help pave the way for them? You helped take on unfair owners who tried to keep all the money in their pockets and devalue the players, the ones who are actually making baseball something great.
Well, it's the evolution of where the game is today. And you can make a lot of money awfully fast, as Tatis Jr. Has came to the realization. And I look back, there were people that paved the way for me. That was Curt Flood, for instance, the stance he took and how it pretty much cost him his career, and what that did for the game, for all of sports actually, and creating free agency. And I just tried to, as the torch was passed to me, pass it along to the players that following me, and give them a vision and a history of, hey, this is what happened in the game. Now it's up to you to carry that trend on. But again, that's an awful lot of money being passed around. It's just a great time to be in the game today.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of progression and things getting better, I don't know if you saw this past year, the Boston Red Sox actually made a statement as an organization that Fenway Park has had a history of racism, and it's something they have to do better at. Did you hear that statement? Did you have a reaction when you heard that being made?
No, I really didn't hear it. Funny, because I've been interviewed on numerous occasions and asked the question about was I ever exposed to any racism in Boston. I was only there 2 years, and I loved it. I loved the city. I loved the ballpark. I didn't like the American League because of the difference in the cities and, being so accustomed to the National League, with the DH and how long the games took. But Boston, for me, was fantastic. I got to play in Fenway, and I always felt that that ballpark, Wrigley Field, were the two more intricate parks still around. They had their different angles about them and the history about it, and I just really enjoyed it.
How did you feel about DHing? Was that hard to stay connected in the game when you're just sitting on the bench waiting to bat again?
Not really. was sort of toward the end of my career, and I understood at that time that, well, it was a way to perhaps be in the lineup every day, but I always enjoyed being out on the field. I feel that you really get into the flow of the game, and it makes, you being there a little bit more meaningful. But I just had to learn after 16 years. This is what you got to grow accustomed to if you're going to be a DH, and that's move around, stay as loose as possible, take some swings underneath in the batting cages between at bats, and you just wanted to stay as sharp as possible because that was all you were going to do. You were going to swing the bat maybe 3-4 times a particular game. But I did get the opportunity to play some in the field, but I understood that, being a veteran ball player, and I was all of 40 years old, they really, just wanted to look at it from the aspect that, we want him in the lineup as much as possible.
Well, I'm glad everyone who's here. We are here live with Hall of Famer Andre Dawson and Pop Shop owner and creator Daniel Horine. Can you show that graphic one more time of the hawk? And this is available to buy right now. It is a print, and 3 of them are signed by Andre Dawson. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yes, Andre has been super gracious and to sign 3 of these to give out to 3 lucky customers. So their orders will arrive signed by the hawk.
So that is on popflyshop.com. We're almost out of time with Andre Dawson. I was wondering, could you maybe wrap it up with a story, Andre Dawson? There was an opening day, I don't know if you remember, in Cincinnati, where the weather is probably one of the strangest games ever. Can you reflect on that day?
Yes, I remember that real well. Cincinnati was notorious for not canceling any game. And, this was opening day. And the weather was brutal from leaving the hotel to getting to the ballpark. And still, before the game itself, I actually saw it, it started out snowing, and then it hailed, and then it was sleet, and then it started raining, and the sun came out. And I was like, wow, you get to see all of the elements within a matter of a 3-hour period. And what happened? We actually played the game. I don't recall if we won the game or lost the game, but there was a lot of sitting around from the time we got to the ballpark to about 6 hours later before we were actually able to play the game itself.
Well, Andre Dawson, your love for the baseball as a sport is so wonderful. You, as a genuine human being, it shines through your face. Zosie, one of your biggest fans, by the way, is here, and she says hi to you. Thank you for your time. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying hello back.
Thank you for your time here today. Go to AndreDawson8.com and you can see what he has coming up in the future. We're going to keep Daniel Horine on, and he's going to talk about his art, and maybe we'll get him to spill the beans on what might be next. No? Andre, do you have a final word for your fans today?
Well, first of all, just thank you. Great job. And that, I think, will do real well, especially with the Chicago fans. And, I would just like to say I'm still employed with the Chicago Cubs at this present time. The pandemic has shut down a lot of stuff work-wise, but I look back on, my career. I played 20-something odd years, and I can honestly say I played the game with the attitude that you're not trying to be a crowd pleaser, but you don't want to cheat the fans. You want to give them your best day in and day out, and that's the attitude I tried to bring through the double doors each and every day. And that's who you play the game for. Without the fans, there is no game. And even though, we saw last year that we couldn't go through a season with fans in the stands, but just the excitement of being able to have the games televised and have the fans give them an opportunity to see the sport itself under whatever circumstances presented itself, I think kind of brought joy to a lot of households. But in all honesty, we don't have a lot of fun unless we have the fans in the stand.
Well, thank you for caring about that aspect. That's not every player feels that way, and that's obvious. So, Hall of Famer Hawk, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your time. And Daniel, can we keep you for a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Hawk. Thank you for your time so much.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You guys take care and stay safe.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
We just talked to Andre Dawson. Okay. I'm going to go take a shower and come back and keep talking with Daniel. Can you bring up your graphic again? Let's get into some of the nuances here. We brought up the wings. Let me ask a basic question, Daniel. What is he actually doing here?
Well, he's flying over Chicago here, and the narrative in my mind, since he's wearing a road jersey, he's flying to the next road game. He's not playing a current home game, but he's headed to maybe Atlanta.
Maybe off to Atlanta. Nice. Now, in case we have Andre Dawson fans here that might not be familiar with Pop Fly Shop, can you describe like what this is? How do we get it? What do you do? What you do?
Sure. So what Pop Fly Pop Shop is a mostly weekly art print series where I do a different baseball team art print every week, and taking on a different aspect of baseball. Sometimes it's scandal, sometimes it's the heroes. It has been villains, but just telling the long story of baseball, but doing it in a comic book way that really and the comic book really opens itself up to exaggeration and storytelling. And so that's the gist of. Oh yeah, I forgot where the question was started. So I do these every week, and they are available for 1 week only, usually Sunday to Sunday. And by the time that Sunday, the Sunday is up, the print run is locked, and the print is retired, and I don't print anymore. So if this sells 10 copies, then you might get one of 10. If it sells 100, one of 100. So the print run is always fluid for these.
Yeah, and so you go to popflyshop.com. These are available until about Sunday. Mm-hmm. It's a cover only, so it's not a comic book, but it's a art style. And 3 of these are signed. That's got to be a cool. How are those randomized? Like, who gets them? How does that happen? These prints, they go into bags, and once they go into bags, I really don't know where they go from there, and so they're just kind of put into the mix. And we'll see who opens theirs and finds it. Now, Sean's noticing a couple things, and he has a question. He asked if they're numbered, and I know that they are because I have every one of these as well. He's also picking on some artistic nuances. Mm-hmm. You want to point out some of those? Like he noticed the 87 reference.
Sure. Yeah. For this one, like I said, I really don't want to make decorations of baseball players. I want to be able to tell stories, and so I do a lot of research for each one of these, and so I wanted to include elements that are pertinent to Andre's story, to the narrative of who the Hawk is. And so in talking with Andre, you mentioned Andre's army there. It says that at the bottom, Commander-in-Chief of Andre's army. The barcode there, it's got some pertinent details. Let's see, 8-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glove, has all of his numbers listed there, and then 77 Rookie of the Year listed there. The number 8 is the number that Andre's most known for, and also as a nod to his time in Montreal. There is the 87 price, which happens to be his MVP year. The Canadian price is also listed there as a nod to his time in Montreal.
That's one of my favorite details that you pointed out. That's so rad. Maybe Daniel, can you show a couple of your older ones that they're now retired, so you can only buy these on the second market? But just so some of the newer fans here can see some of the other players you've done.
Here's one of the earlier ones. Let me see Donnie Baseball there. Again, like I like to tell a broad scope of stories here. This is a take on the Astros sign stealing scandal here, which they internally called Codebreaker. So I thought, what if Codebreaker was an entity? What would it look like? Then we kind of got you might call us a villain. And here's a kind of a very classic hero piece in Millville Meteor.
Well, I would get destroyed if I don't try to get you to tip on who might be next in the Pop Fly Shop universe.
Come
on, give us a team.
I will say I try to get to teams that I haven't done before. My goal is to, by the end of the project, get to at least all the teams. I know I've doubled up on teams. I've probably done 3 or 4 Pirates already. I'm not even a Pirates guy, but I was so inspired by the 70s Pirates team. But I'm trying to get to all teams. So that I can share.
That's okay. So we have homework to do. We got to go through who he's done and then find out the teams he hasn't done. And I think that's a clue, everybody, on what might be next. Is there any other general broad directions of Pop Fly Shop you'd like to share with your fans?
For the time being, it is what it is. Every week doing these pieces, but I name my site, my shop, Pop Fly Pop Shop, for a reason, and not Pop Fly Comics or Pop Fly Art, is because I want to be able to move sideways with this, and so not maybe just do comics, but there are other avenues of nostalgia that I want to pursue. So that's my hope is to I have done stickers as well, and I've got some Jimmy Key chains out there waiting for me to get around to releasing, but just exploring nostalgia and how it relates to baseball and our childhood experiences.
So once again, popflypopshop.com. This print is available. Maybe you could show the Hawk print one more time. That is available for a couple more days. Like I said, I have everyone. I'm a fan as well. $35 and you get it before it's retired, before it triples in value. 3 of them are signed. Cross your fingers. On the Facebook page, there's also links on other companies that make frames that fit these quite well. Daniel, thank you for your art. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thanks for getting us connected to Andre Dawson himself. Do you have any parting words for any of us?
I'm very grateful. It's every time I ponder this, I'm just grateful and beyond belief. Just looking back to a year ago, and I was my own best collector, and it's very meaningful to have this art resonate with a lot of people. So I'm very grateful, and I just really appreciate the support.
Awesome. Well, everyone who showed up live, thank you so much. I think we addressed all the questions that were being asked. Those of you on replay, thanks for joining us. Join us next time. But happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Birthday with Andre Dawson. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Popflypopshop.com. Stay connected and see what's next.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.